Hello, and welcome to the Senior Techie Podcast. I am absolutely thrilled to get into today's discussion because we are tackling a subject that is essentially the elephant in the room for anyone over the age of 50.
It really is.
We are talking about aging, but not the philosophical kind of aging.
Yeah.
We are talking about the tactical side, the data side. But before we get started, I have a very specific introduction to make. This podcast is brought to you by the Senior Techie, a source of information for seniors and others about technology.
It is wonderful to be here, and you are right. This is a crucial conversation for us as we age.
It is.
We are looking at a topic that the Senior Techie has been covering extensively, which is longevity wearables.
Right. And I think for a lot of people, when they hear wearables, they immediately picture, a 20-something triathlete sprinting down the street.
Checking their split times.
Yeah, or someone obsessing over closing their fitness rings. But we're talking about something completely different today. We are talking about the difference between just living longer and actually living well.
That is the core hook here. The Senior Techie highlights a concept that is absolutely vital for you to understand, and that is the gap between health span and lifespan.
Okay, let's unpack this because I love this distinction. I mean, lifespan is obvious. That is just the number on your birthday cake.
Right.
That is how long you're on the planet. But health span?
Health span is how many of those years are actually spent in good health.
Okay.
It is the period of life spent free from chronic diseases and the typical disabilities of aging.
That makes sense.
And the Senior Techie points out a really concerning trend in recent data. In the U.S., the gap between how long we live and how long we stay healthy is now over a decade.
Wow. Let me just pause on that for a second. Over a decade.
Yes.
So statistically speaking, we are looking at 10 years or more at the end of life, potentially dealing with illness, disability, or lack of mobility.
That is the reality for many.
Yeah.
And that gap is actually getting wider, not smaller.
Which is terrifying.
It is. But the goal of the technology we are discussing today isn't necessarily to make you live to be 150.
Right.
It is to help you avoid spending those extra years managing illness, suffering from low energy, or losing your independence. It is about squaring the curve.
That is a huge distinction. It is about quality, not just quantity. So enter longevity wearables.
Yes.
As I mentioned, these aren't just fancy stopwatches for people running marathons.
Not at all. The best way to think about them, and I actually love this analogy from the Senior Techie, is that they act like a gentle, always-on check engine light for your body.
No, I really like that image. Because my car tells me if the oil pressure is weird long before the engine explodes.
Precisely.
I don't wait for smoke to pour out of the hood.
And for a long time, our bodies just didn't have that dashboard. We waited until something broke.
A heart attack, a fall.
A sudden diagnosis. But today, we are going to look at watches, rings, and even sensors that track sleep, heart health, and blood sugar. These devices are designed to help seniors age on their own terms by giving them that early warning system.
So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. Segment 1, we need to talk about what actually makes a device longevity focused.
Good place to start.
Because I remember when those first fitness trackers came out years ago, it was all about 10,000 steps or bust.
Right. If you didn't get your steps, you failed the day.
We have come a long way since the simple pedometer, haven't we?
We really have. The Senior Techie notes that while movement is still obviously important, modern longevity wearables are looking for deeper signals.
What kind of signals?
Things you can't necessarily feel in the moment. We're talking about sleep quality, resting heart rate, stress patterns, and something called HRV.
HRV. Okay, I see this acronym everywhere now. It stands for heart rate variability.
That is correct.
But what does that actually mean? Is it just how fast my heart is beating?
No, and this is where it gets fascinating. It measures the tiny changes in time between your heartbeats.
Wait, I thought I wanted my heart to be steady like a metronome. Tick, tick, tick.
Actually, a healthy heart is responsive, not rigid.
No.
Yes. If you have a high HRV, it means there's a lot of variation in that timing.
Okay.
It means your nervous system is flexible, it can handle stress, it can recover, it can adapt to changes in your environment. High HRV is actually a very good sign.
Okay, so high is good and low.
A lower HRV is often linked to higher cardiac risk. It indicates your body is under stress or fighting something off.
Like an illness.
It could be a virus, it could be exhaustion, it could be emotional stress. The tricky part, and why the Senior Techie really emphasizes these devices, is that you cannot feel your HRV.
Right, you can't sit there and sense a millisecond difference between beats.
So the device watches it for you, usually while you sleep. It turns that complex data into a simple score.
That is so helpful.
Over time, that score tells you if your daily habits, your diet, your activity, your stress are building you up or quietly wearing you down.
That is incredibly useful. It is like having a doctor check your vitals every single night while you are dreaming.
That is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It removes all the guesswork.
So moving on to our second segment, let's talk about the device that I think most people are familiar with, the Apple Watch.
Yes.
But we are looking at it specifically as a safety net.
This is a major focus for the senior techie.
I know a lot of listeners worry about this. I hear it from my own parents. The fear is, what if something happens and I am alone?
Right.
What if I fall in the kitchen and can't get to the phone? That fear can really limit someone's life.
It is a totally valid fear, and
Yeah.
it is a major threat to independence. The Apple Watch has really leaned into solving this. It isn't just about reading text messages on your wrist anymore.
What does it do now?
The recent models have sophisticated fall detection built right in.
How does that actually work? Does it just guess?
It uses the accelerometers and gyroscopes in the watch. If it detects the specific motion signature of a hard fall followed by stillness,
Oh, wow.
it taps you on the wrist and sounds an alarm. If you do not respond, it automatically calls emergency services and shares your location with 911.
That is incredible peace of mind. But do I have to be a tech genius to set that up? Because buried settings are the enemy for a lot of people.
It is very user-friendly, and here is a specific senior benefit that the senior techie points out. Apple automatically enables fall detection if the age you entered in your health app is 65 or older.
Really? You don't even have to dig through the settings.
Nope. It just assumes you want that protection.
That is smart design. And it does heart stuff too, right?
It does. It can record an ECG, an electrocardiogram to check for atrial fibrillation or AFib.
Which is that irregular rhythm that can lead to strokes.
Spot on.
Yeah.
It can also trigger an SOS if you just hold down the side button.
The senior techie had some pretty amazing real-world stories about this in their reporting.
They did. There was one story about an older woman whose Apple Watch detected a fall. It called for help, she went to the hospital, and because she was there for the fall, the doctors ran scans and ended up discovering lung cancer.
That is wild.
And they found it early enough to treat it.
Wow. So the fall detection actually led to a cancer diagnosis. Talk about a ripple effect.
It really highlights how interconnected these health events can be. And there was another story about an 83-year-old man who collapsed near an airport.
Oh my goodness.
His watch alerted emergency services immediately. They got to him in time to treat a blood clot that could have been fatal.
It really is a lifesaver. Now, usually when we talk about this kind of monitoring, like those pendants you wear around your neck, there is a monthly fee. You are basically renting the safety.
And that is the financial benefit here. You pay for the watch up front, yes, and it isn't cheap.
Sure.
But you do not need a monthly subscription for these health and safety features. Once you own the hardware, the safety net is free.
That is a huge selling point. Okay, let's pivot to something a little more subtle. Segment 3, the sleep detective. We are talking about the Oura Ring.
The Oura Ring is a fascinating piece of tech.
This is for the listener who is thinking, I'm tired all the time, I wake up groggy, but I don't know why.
Right. And for many people, wearing a watch to bed is just uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's bulky, the screen lights up if you move your arm.
The Oura Ring solves that form factor problem. It is just a simple metal band you wear in your finger.
It looks just like a wedding band, basically.
Pretty much. And the senior techie notes that the new Oura Ring 4 uses smart sensing to adapt to different finger shapes and skin tones.
Which makes the accuracy much better, I assume.
Much better.
So what exactly is it tracking while you sleep?
It goes really deep on sleep. It tracks your sleep stages, REM, deep sleep, light sleep. It tracks body temperature trends.
Which can actually predict if you are getting sick, right?
Yes, a day or two before you even feel symptoms. And every morning, it gives you a readiness score.
I think we underestimate sleep. We tend to think, oh, I'm older now, I just don't sleep as well. We accept it as inevitable.
And that is a dangerous assumption. Poor sleep is tied to higher risks of heart disease, dementia, and depression. The Oura Ring helps you see the reality of your sleep.
But it's not just about looking at a graph and saying, oh, I slept badly. That just feels depressing to me.
You are right. Just knowing isn't enough. The value, as the senior techie explains, is in the patterns.
Like what?
For example, you might notice that every time you have a glass of wine after 8 p.m., your deep sleep disappears. Or if you look at a screen right before bed, your resting heart rate stays high all night.
So it connects the dots for you. You did this, so you felt like this.
That is the key. It turns your behavior into data you can understand. Now, unlike the Apple Watch, there is a cost model difference here.
Right, the subscription.
Yes. With Aura, you buy the ring, but to get the full data and history, you pay a small monthly membership. So that is something you have to factor in.
Okay, so if Apple is for safety and Aura is for sleep, what about the people who want to stay active?
Right.
I am thinking of the seniors who are hiking, playing pickleball, maybe jogging, but they are terrified of overdoing it.
That is a very real concern. You want to be active, but you don't want to run yourself into the ground or risk injury. For this, the Senior Techie highlights two main options, WWOOP and Garmin.
Let's start with WWOOP. Fun name to say.
It is. WWOOP is a small band, usually worn on the wrist or bicep,
Okay.
and there is no screen at all. It is purely a data collector.
No screen, so I have to look at my phone to see what it's doing.
Correct. It keeps the device very low profile. Its main focus is balancing strain versus recovery.
How does that work?
It tells you how hard you pushed your body and how well you recovered from it.
Is there a specific benefit for seniors here?
There is a feature called Health Span. It estimates a WWOOP age.
A WWOOP age.
Yes, so it looks at your vitals and tells you if your habits are helping you age slower or faster than your actual calendar age.
That is slightly terrifying, but also very motivating.
It is highly motivating. But, like the Oura Ring, WHP is subscription-based. In fact, you usually get the hardware for free with the subscription.
Okay, so that is option A. What about option B, Garmin?
The Garmin Venu 3 is mentioned by the Senior Techie. This is for someone who wants a classic smartwatch experience. Bright screen, GPS, the works.
And the battery. I know charging these things is a constant pain.
That is the Garmin superpower. The battery life is huge, up to 14 days on a single charge.
That is incredible.
So you aren't tethered to a charger every night.
That is a big deal. What does it track?
It uses metrics like body battery and fitness age. The body battery is great. It is literally a number from 1 to 100 representing your energy.
Oh, I love that.
So you look at your wrist and say, I'm at a 30, maybe I shouldn't go for that 5-mile hike today. Or I'm at a 90, let's go.
And the cost model.
One-time payment. You buy the watch, you own the data, no monthly fee.
I really love having that option. Okay, segment 5. This one might surprise some people. We're talking about continuous glucose monitors, or CGMs.
This is a really emerging space.
Now, when I hear glucose monitor, I immediately think diabetes. I think needles.
And historically, you would be right. But the Senior Techie points out that the FDA has recently cleared systems like the Dexcom Stelo and Abbott Lingo for over-the-counter use.
So you don't even need a prescription.
Not for these specific models. And they are tiny sensors you wear on the back of your arm. They read your blood sugar 24/7.
24/7, okay.
Wait,
But here is the big question. If I am not diabetic, why on earth do I care about my blood sugar?
This is the metabolic window. The Senior Techie explains that blood sugar spikes and crashes are tied to heart disease, weight gain, and brain health over time.
Even for non-diabetics.
Yes, even if you aren't diabetic, unstable blood sugar is really hard on the body.
So what does a senior actually learn from wearing one of these?
It is about personalized data. You might find that a bowl of oatmeal spikes your sugar through the roof, but eggs don't.
Fascinating.
Or, and this is a really powerful one, you can see how a short walk after dinner can completely flatten a sugar spike.
You can actually see the line on the graph change just because you took a short walk.
Yes, it is immediate feedback. And the Senior Techie also notes that stress and poor sleep can push your blood sugar up, even without food.
So it shows you how interconnected everything is.
Absolutely.
But do I wear this thing forever?
Most longevity doctors suggest using it as a short experiment. Use it for a few weeks. Learn how your body reacts to your favorite foods and your schedule. Then apply that knowledge to your diet. You don't necessarily need to wear it for the rest of your life.
That makes it feel much more manageable. It is a learning tool, not a permanent appendage.
Spot on. It is like a masterclass you take on your own biology.
Okay, we have covered a lot today. Watches, rings, bands, arm sensors. I can hear the listeners thinking, this is too much. I'm overwhelmed. I don't want to be a cyborg.
And the guidance from the Senior Techie is very reassuring here. You do not need a drawer full of gadgets. Please do not go out and buy all 4 of these.
So what is the strategy? How do we start without the overwhelm?
The advice is to pick one device based on your top concern right now.
Okay, let's break that down.
If your main worry is, I live alone and I want to be safe,
You get the Apple Watch. Simple.
that's right. If your main problem is, I have no energy and I sleep terribly,
You look at the Oura Ring.
correct. If you want to get fit but stay safe from injury, look at WHOE or Garmin. And if you were worried about diet metabolism, do the short experiment with a CGM.
Pick your battle, pick your tool.
Precisely. And then apply the 30-day rule.
What is the 30-day rule?
Use the chosen device for 30 days before you judge it. And importantly, focus on one or two key numbers. Do not try to analyze every single graph and data point.
That sounds like a recipe for anxiety.
It is. Just look at your sleep score or just look at your step count and heart rate. Keep it simple.
I think that is key. Don't let the data run your life.
And one final, very important medical context note from the senior techie. These devices are amazing, but they are not doctors.
Right?
If you see a worrying trend, like an irregular heart rhythm alert or your heart rate is consistently doing something weird, share that with your doctor. That is what this data is for.
It empowers the conversation with your doctor. Instead of just saying, I feel funny, you can say, my watch says my heart rate has been 120 while I'm just watching TV.
That is exactly the point. It gives you hard data to advocate for your own health.
We're coming to the end of our discussion here, and I think the big takeaway for me is that we have moved past the era of gadgets just being toys.
We really have.
Yeah.
The senior techie and the experts agree. These devices do not stop the clock. We are all aging. But they provide earlier warnings and clearer feedback than we have ever had in human history.
It's about not flying blind anymore.
It is. The tech collects the signals. But the solution, the actual improvement in your later years, comes from what you choose to do with those signals.
And that leads us to our final thought for the day. I want to leave you with this idea. If your car has a dashboard to tell you when it needs maintenance to keep running smoothly, why shouldn't your body have one too? Especially when the goal isn't just to keep running, but to keep running independently.
Well said.
Thank you all for listening. This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to keep up with their newsletters, you can subscribe for free by going to subscribe.theseniortechie.com.
Stay curious and stay healthy.
See you next time.